Fascinating is the exchange that took place between Chris Scott and Chris Fagan at the end of the quarter-time break. It was an angry exchange. Chris Scott was walking to head up the race, saw Chris Fagan on the boundary line, giving him a filthy look. Certainly there was a reference to Chris Fagan's age, and a not a very complimentary one at that.
Myself personally, I would not choose to speak to opposition players. I don't think it's appropriate.
Chris Scott will be punished for that altercation with Lachie Neale. A suspended fine will be the punishment. It's a line in the sand moment.
If you're having a drinking game, and there's a few people who do, watching Chris Scott go off at the umpires, you're gone by quarter time. And the umpires and the AFL not happy with the constant theatrics.
What aren't they happy about?
I think they're not happy with the constant demonstrative attack on the umpires while game is being played.
Welcome back to Footy Classified. Plenty of criticism there after a tough week for you. That commentary there, was it fair? And do you regret the actions of the week?
No, I think my mea culpa is complete. I think the facts are sort of largely irrelevant in terms of what happened. It's more, the extrapolation to what could happen and the message it sends to community footy. And I mean, I think it's going a little bit too far to suggest that there should be no interaction. There's interaction a lot between coaches and players, and most of it, all of it. I mean, I think I said post-game that there's zero chance of that escalating because I was in complete control of that situation. It's not about the facts, it's about the look of it, and that's the part that I take complete responsibility for. Ed stuff, I mean, I don't think Ed knows what he's talking about, to be honest. I think.
Why do you say that?
Because I think there are some people I really respect at the AFL who are strong personalities and would pass that information on to me if they felt that way. And they certainly wouldn't pass it on to Ed without passing it on to me.
You've never been spoken to about the fact that you're too demonstrative in the box and that's offensive to umpires? I've never heard that myself, but...
Yeah, never, no. I've got a lot of respect for Ed as well, but I think he just made that part up.
What about just if you don't mind me saying, as a coach, if I had to describe you on occasion, that was slightly hot-headed behaviour. Can you be a hothead at time? I mean, we showed some grabs and we looked at them again last week of you having a crack at Razor Ray during the finals last year. And speaking to Hamish Hartlett, I think that was about 4 or 5 years ago at a Port Adelaide game. Here you are, obviously, last week after Lachie Neale spoke to you and you spoke back.
So to answer your question, I'm invested in the game, there's no doubt about that. And over the course of 11 years and almost 300 games, I think, on 2 or 3 occasions I've done some things that I probably shouldn't have. But those sort of interactions happen between coaches and umpires a lot. Some of them get caught on film, very few of them probably. That wasn't an example of me being hot-headed. It was Ray bounce the ball or throw the ball up, I think I said.
But that's offensive to an umpire, and you know about the problems umpires have and how hard it is to get people
to come. Yeah, so you're making
that
part really clear, and that was part of my mea culpa. I completely agree with you. So we can accept that part and move on. The hot-headed part, look, I made a decision a long time ago in the box in particular, from some advice from people in footy that I really respect, that it's difficult to keep you calm for the whole day, and you need to find a time to release. And the coach's box is your sanctuary a little bit. And I almost never, without some sort of method, lose my temper with the players. So the coach's box is kind of my release to an extent. Now, if you're asking the question, do I look at it and think, yeah, that's brilliant, I love that, make sure you do that again? No, it's a bit embarrassing for me, but I do feel that if I had to make a choice to be more invested in the game and defend my players and be in the game, as opposed to being too calm and too passive, I'd choose the former.
So when I was critical last week of the Lachie Neale exchange, Matthew Lloyd made the point that all the best coaches in recent years have had incidents like that. Alistair Clarkson famously, and probably more than you, Damien Hardwick ditto. Do you think that you need to be a bit like that to be a great coach or to be a premiership coach or to reach the pinnacle?
I think you need to be invested in the game.
Yeah, well, all coaches are invested in the game, Chris.
Outwardly, so let me explain it in more detail. I think you need to be invested in the game to the point where it's visible to your players and your people. Now that does run a risk of boiling over a little bit, but again, I would contend that maybe you should speak to the people inside of Geelong and get a feel for how often I'm calm and composed as opposed to aggressive. I think what you see in 1 or 2 second grabs don't reflect the course of a few hours over a game.
Last one and we'll move on. So there's a $10,000 suspended fine hanging over your head. Do you need to change? Or do you think that the way you've done it, you'll continue to do?
Well, I think based on a couple of incidents, I need to change that part. That part's really clear. And again, I take complete responsibility for it, but do I need to change the way I go about it? I mean, I'm always looking for ways to improve. Yeah,
Do you
absolutely.
think players should be told they shouldn't talk to coaches as well?
So I wouldn't go down that path. I think that the chances of something happening at AFL level are as close to zero as you can get. But that's not the point. The point is, if at lower levels that seemed to be encouraged, it could escalate really quickly. And I don't think that there's any disagreement there. But again, I think the umpires. I don't think they love the feedback, but I think they're actually better with it than you think they are. I think what this is all about image, it's about appearance, and it's about the message that it might send. And I'm supportive of that.
Should there be cameras in the box?
Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. People can, like Ed. Ed's made his own. I think he's made his own extrapolation there. I think it's a fiction, the stuff he's talking about. But my first day in the coach's box, I was pretty emotional. We won almost on the siren, and I haven't changed since. I'm used to it. I think it's part of the broadcast. I'm happy to play my part there. If it leads to a little bit of ridicule from some quarters, I mean, 9 out of 10 people in Victoria hate the Cats coach anyway. Like, that's just the life I've chosen to lead.